Dear A Lange Söhne and watch enthusiasts, welcome. My name is Alp. If you are a devotee Lange fan like myself, you probably know me by the self-given moniker Langepedia on social mediums and collector circles. I have been reading, humbly collecting and writing about A Lange Söhne for the last 10 years. My passion guided me to create Langepedia on Instagram, gave me the chance to meet fantastic watch enthusiasts whom I am proud to call friends from all over the world, and the opportunity to walk into the manufacture of A Lange Söhne countless times. And eventually, it put me here in front of you. And now, in partnership with WatchBox, I'm proud to announce that you are going to see an 8-episode series on A Lange Söhne, where I am going to take you to a journey from the school years of Ferdinand Adolph Lange to the foundation of the brand in 1845, A Lange Söhne rise and fall through decades, rebirth from the ashes in 1990, and its development through modern times with anecdotes, rare pieces, and technical walkthroughs. Please enjoy. And as always, thank you all for your time and support. Welcome to the first episode of our Lange series. Even though we have fantastic watches in front of me that we are going to take a deep dive in the coming episodes, for this one I'm just going to take these aside as we just travel back in time. In a world where everything, even the personal relationships, go digital, watches of this level stay as something sentimental. A legacy technology, if you will, offers things that are unique, timeless, and addresses to the heart. Therefore, in order to fully grasp these pieces, I believe that one must go back, understand the roots, and only then one can fully appreciate the importance and worth of these watches. And it starts with Ferdinand Adolph Lange. Son of Johann Samuel Lange, Ferdinand Adolph Lange was born in 1815. Early in life, his parents were separated and he was adopted by a foster family. Luckily for him, and obviously for us here, his family offered him a chance of proper education, and in 1829 he joined the Technical University of Dresden. The studies were demanding though, 6 days a week, divided as 3 days of theoretical work and 3 days of manual craft work, accompanied by a student's master. Fate, it seems, Lange's master was none other than Christian Friedrich Gutkäs, maker of the famous 5-minute clock in Dresden Opera House, and the court watchmaker later on. Following 6 years of hard work at school, Lange finished his apprenticeship with honors and went on to work with Gutkäs as his assistant for more than 2 years. Though his ambitions were different, to become a better watchmaker, so to speak, in 1837, Lange decided to embark on a journey to learn the watchmaking craft from the best of the time. Following 4 years with the master watchmaker Wienerl in Paris, where he became the foreman, Lange refused the offer to stay. Why, you might ask? Well, because a letter written by Gutkäs prior to his journey was calling him back, saying, "Don't forget your home, don't forget your people." Lange returned to Dresden in 1841 and took over his now father-in-law Gutkäs' business in 1842. The business was good, however, his ultimate goal was something bigger than just business. He wanted to build a watchmaking industry. As a part of his plan, he wrote a letter to the High Council of Saxony presenting a detailed business plan. In the letter he was saying, should the High Council be able and willing to grant the wherewithal for the establishment of an institution and the welfare of 10-15 young people, and to entrust me with its leadership, I am certain that in a near future, livelihood and prosperity will spread among a large number of these unfortunate people. Following discussions, on December 7, 1845, Ferdinand Adolph Lange founded A Lange and Company. He started with, as promised, 15 young men. His employees were obliged to work with him for 5 years at least, and following, Lange encouraged his apprentices to create their own specialized firms. Lange not only set motion to a factory, but a watchmaking cluster in the region along with his colleagues Julius Assmann, Adolf Schneider and Moritz Grossmann. Ferdinand Adolph Lange was an innovator who developed numerous mechanisms from remontoire to dead seconds, repeaters, and introduced metric system to watchmaking. But there are a few special touches of his which laid the basis of all watchmaking in Gloucester, and especially A Lange Söhne of today. It took almost 20 years of his time, and around 1870s, what we can call a mature work started to surface. Yes, Gloucester sunburst pattern on the barrels, diamond and stone, gold chatons, blued screws, and of course the three-quarter plate, introduced in 1864 following many trials, became the signature elements of the region's watchmaking and perhaps the most tangible connection to this day's brand. In 1868, following successful 2 decades, Ferdinand Adolph Lange retired to focus more on the social work as the mayor of the town. He enjoyed the fruits of his hard labor within the spacious house built adjacent to the manufacture, which actually today serves as the headquarters of modern A Lange Söhne. The Saxon state immortalized Ferdinand Adolph Lange with a statue in 1895. He gave the reins of his legacy to his sons Richard and Emil Lange. Subsequently, the company's name was changed from A Lange & Company to A Lange & Söhne, which translates as A Lange and Sons. The company expanded tremendously under the management of both talents. Even though Richard Lange retired early due to health problems in the 1880s, he continued to register patents and improve the region's watchmaking. From the deadbeat seconds we see in homage to Walter Lange to the swan's neck regulator and the basis of Nivaros balance springs, he left his mark in many inventions. Furthermore, he became the chairman of Gloucester Watchmaking School. On the other hand, Emil Lange was dealing with the management and expansion. Under the helm of Emil Lange, the company and Emil Lange himself received many awards from local and international authorities. From 1870s to 1900s, A Lange Söhne supplied pocket watches of highest quality, both to individual collectors like Kaiser Wilhelm II and the Sultan of the Ottoman Empire, as well as to the military with precision clocks, and solidified its place as the foremost watchmaker of Germany. It was within this period that the company built the famous Grand Confiscation, as well as the reference 41,000, which won the jury award in Paris exhibition in the year 1900. Following the highly successful decades, Emil Lange retired in 1919, putting the business into the hands of his sons, Otto, Rudolf, and Gerhard. The 20th century arrived with a storm of change to Gloucester. Gloucester Precision Watch Manufacture was founded in 1904 and followed by Nomos in 1908. Both companies were producing machine-made watches, or movements imported from Switzerland and cased up in Gloucester. By contrast though, A Lange Söhne and few others were still crafting handmade watches, therefore operating with understandable high costs. What is more, the triumph of wristwatches was unstoppable, and Lange wasn't ready, so the business wasn't good at all. To answer the developments in watchmaking, A Lange Söhne turned its face to a higher degree of automatization instead of the handcraft to reduce costs. The brand Olive was born, with a new caliber more suitable for automatization, which stands for Original Lange International Werk. Alas, the intended success did not arrive. It took years for the company to set up the procedure, and the scale just wasn't there. The Second World War was the last nail on the legendary manufacturer's coffin. On May 7, 1945, Soviets entered the Möglich Valley and bombarded the city on the 8th. With many others, A Lange Söhne factory was burned to ashes. Walter Lange, 21 years old at the time, witnessed the obliteration. However, even such incident did not discourage this young man from striving for his family business. He resumed his apprenticeship in Austria, and in 1947 he took charge and actively tried to revive his family's name on watches once again. He knew that the future was in wristwatches, which A Lange Söhne did not adapt in the past. Unfortunately, while working on this new wristwatch, fate showed its bitter side once again. Glashütte fell under the control of the Soviet Union and the post-war Germany. Dictated by the communist regime, private ownership was a thing of the past, and A Lange Söhne was publicized in 1948, renamed as Lange VEB Glashütte. Following the confiscation by the state, Walter Lange and his family was forced to leave the company, and the family fled to Western Germany, to Pforzheim. The name A Lange Söhne would not be seen on the dials for another 46 years. One note here is A Lange Söhne completed a wristwatch movement based on the pocket watch caliber 48 in 1948, which was named as caliber 28. These watches, however, were branded as Lange VEB Glashütte and not A Lange Söhne. Walter Lange tried to revive his family's name once again in Pforzheim. In his book When Time Came Home, he mentions the following. So we started with a very family watch production. We bought boxes with parts from Deutsche Uhr and Uhrwerke for 100 clocks each, which my wife and I then reassembled at the kitchen table after work. The clocks were sold under the name Alp, which means A Lange Pforzheim, definitely not my name. He continues. Later, we expanded the business and concentrated only on the clock reassembly. My brother ran the business, I ran the workshop with up to 7 watchmakers. However, following the decline in sales and different parts taken by the brothers, Walter Lange left the company and worked for Wellendorf, which was going to be an important contact when A Lange Söhne reborn in the 1990s. From the 70s till the 90s, the name Lange was gone completely, and for all eternity perhaps. Luckily, a gentleman named Günther Blümlein had different plans. Even though the high-end watch industry in Glashütte was ceased to exist, it was still remembered by connoisseurs like Reinhard Reichel, Helmut Koth, Martin Huber, and of course Günther Blümlein, a true visionary who was known as the man who saved IWC and Jägerle Coultre. Blümlein was looking for opportunities to expand LMH's portfolio. The talks began to materialize when the Berlin Wall fell in 1989, and there was only one name that would fit Blümlein's vision for the peak of watchmaking, A Lange Söhne. Blümlein's first thought was to create a joint venture with GUB manufacturer, which was the cluster of nationalized watch manufacturers of Glashütte. However, upon travel to Glashütte, he saw that such initiative was simply impossible. GUB was too big and obsolete, employing 2,000 people, producing tens of thousands of watches per year. Following, Blümlein decided to revive A Lange Söhne from scratch. In January 1990, after 2 months of the fall of the wall and Blümlein's visit to Glashütte, Walter Lange and his wife Jutta were enjoying retirement at the age of 66. Their phone was ringing. Walter Lange picked it up, and on the other end, there was Günther Blümlein offering the unbelievable to fulfill Walter Lange's dream to rebuild his family business. Ich war total erstaunt, says Walter Lange. I was totally stunned. Nonetheless, he took no time to think on the next steps. After in-depth talks, strategy creation, Walter Lange re-registered the name Lange Uhren GmbH on December 7, 1990, exactly 145 years after his great-grandfather. Our story with modern A Lange Söhne begins here. In the next episode, we are going to take an in-depth journey to the Glashütte and Schaffhausen of the 90s, development of the company, the preparation, and finally, the night of the 24th, 1994 October, with the first 4 watches. Thank you.